You spent $800, $1,200, maybe $2,000 on a new mattress, and the first thing it did was poison the air in your bedroom. The manufacturers know this, the retailers know this, and the federal agency that was supposed to protect you from it wrote the regulation that made it legal. Tonight, we are going to open the mattress industry from seam to seam and show you exactly what you have been sleeping on. The death of the spring mattress. In 1972, you could walk into a furniture store and buy a mattress that would last you 30 years. It was not complicated. It was a steel inner spring coil system wrapped in cotton batting and covered in a ticking fabric. If the springs wore out on one side, a skilled upholsterer could open the seam, replace the coil unit, and close it back up. The mattress was a repairable object. It was an asset. That mattress does not exist in the mainstream market anymore. The reason it disappeared has nothing to do with comfort science or sleep research. It has everything to do with manufacturing cost and the profit margins that come with selling you a product that cannot be fixed. In the 1980s and the 1990s, petrochemical companies figured out that polyurethane foam, a byproduct of the oil refining process, could be manufactured for almost nothing and compressed into a shape that felt, at least for the first few months, like a luxury product. The furniture industry noticed. The mattress industry followed, and over the course of 2 decades, the inner spring mattress was systematically replaced by a sealed block of petroleum-derived foam that has no mechanical parts, no repairable components, and a lifespan engineered to expire right around the time your warranty does. The modern mattress is not furniture. It is a consumable. It is designed to be used up, rolled into a plastic bag, and hauled to a landfill where it will sit for the next 500 years because polyurethane foam does not biodegrade. The industry made that shift not because foam is better for your body, but because foam is cheaper to manufacture, impossible to repair, and easy to market with words like contouring, pressure relief, and adaptive comfort. What they never put on the marketing brochure is what the foam is actually made of. That is the part of the story they are counting on you never to investigate. What is actually inside your mattress? Polyurethane foam is not a natural material. It is a chemical reaction. To manufacture it, companies combine 2 petroleum-derived compounds, a polyol and an isocyanate, and add a cocktail of additional chemicals to control the density, the firmness, and the cure time. Those additional chemicals include plasticizers, colorants, and a class of compounds called volatile organic compounds, also called VOCs, which are released as gas at room temperature. When you unbox a new mattress, the smell you notice is not newness. This is off-gassing. It is the chemical compounds into the foam evaporating into the air of your bedroom. The industry calls this the break-in period. Scientists call it primary off-gassing. The compounds being released include acetaldehyde, benzene, toluene, and formaldehyde. These are not trace amounts of harmless chemicals. Formaldehyde is a known human carcinogen, classified as such by the World Health Organization. Benzene is a known cause of leukemia. Toluene is a neurotoxin. Memory foam is worse. The memory foam you paid extra for because it was supposed to cradle your spine is a higher density version of polyurethane foam, loaded with additional viscoelastic chemicals that give it that slow sink feel. The higher the density, the more chemical compounds are packed into the material and the longer the off-gassing cycle continues. Studies have measured volatile organic compound emissions from memory foam mattresses for up to 2 years after purchase. Now consider the geometry of this problem. You are not walking past this material in a well-ventilated factory. You are lying face down, nose inches from the surface, for 7 or 8 hours every single night. You are breathing the off-gassing compounds in a closed bedroom with the door shut. If you are a parent who bought your child a new foam mattress because it looked clean and modern and came in a box with a cheerful logo on it, your child's developing lungs are processing these compounds at a rate that no adult study has fully accounted for. This is not speculation. This is chemistry. The flame retardant scam. In 1975, the state of California passed a regulation called Technical Bulletin 117. The stated goal was fire safety. Furniture and mattresses sold in California had to meet a specific open flame resistance standard. It was a legitimate concern. Foam is extremely flammable, and house fires kill people. But the way the regulation was written created a loophole so large that the chemical industry drove a truck through it for the next 4 decades. To meet the flammability standard, manufacturers had 2 options. They could wrap the foam core in a naturally fire-resistant barrier material like wool, which chars rather than burns. Or they could drench the foam itself in chemical flame retardants. Wool cost more. Chemicals cost almost nothing. The choice the industry made should not surprise you. The chemicals they chose were called polybrominated diphenyl ethers, known as PBDE compounds. They are a family of halogenated compounds that bond to foam and release slowly into the environment over the lifetime of the product. They migrate out of the mattress, into the dust in your bedroom, onto your skin, and into your bloodstream. The Centers for Disease Control has found PBDE compounds in the blood of virtually every American tested in population studies, including newborn infants who have not yet slept on a mattress, because the compounds pass through the placenta. When the science on polybrominated diphenyl ethers became too damning to ignore, several variants were banned in the United States in the early 2000s. But here is what the industry did instead of fixing the problem. They switched to a different class of flame-retardant chemicals, organophosphate compounds, which carry their own set of documented health risks, including links to hormone disruption and neurological damage. And they kept selling mattresses with the same marketing language they had always used. Safe, certified, tested. The lobbying effort that kept flame-retardant chemicals in American mattresses for 50 years was funded in large part by the tobacco industry. We are not editorializing. This is documented in internal memos that became public through litigation. Tobacco companies had a financial interest in preventing stricter fire safety standards because stricter standards would have required self-extinguishing cigarettes, which they did not want to make. So they funded front groups that posed as fire safety advocates to push for chemical flame retardants in furniture instead. The mattress industry and the tobacco industry shared a lobbyist and a strategy. You have been sleeping on the result. The bed-in-a-box racket. Around 2015, a wave of venture capital-funded startups decided to disrupt the mattress industry. You know the names: Casper, Purple, Nectar, Sattva. They built websites with clean design and hired podcasters to read their ads. They promised transparency. They promised to cut out the predatory retail middleman. They promised that buying a mattress online, compressed into a cardboard box and shipped to your door, was the future of sleep. What they did not promise, and what they buried in the fine print of their material disclosures, is that a bed-in-a-box is still a polyurethane foam mattress. The disruption was in the distribution model, not in the chemistry. Casper did not reinvent what a mattress is made of. They reinvented how it is shipped to you. The same volatile organic compounds that off-gas, the same flame-retardant questions, the same petrochemical raw materials, just with better branding and a 100-night trial period that the company calculated would end before the off-gassing peaked. The trial period is one of the most cynical marketing devices in modern retail. The primary off-gassing phase of a new foam mattress typically lasts between 2 and 6 weeks. The 100-night trial sounds generous until you understand that it is calibrated to end after the worst of the smell has dissipated. So the chemical problem that should have disqualified the sale never becomes the reason for the return. By the time levels of volatile organic compounds begin their long, slow, secondary, off-gassing cycle. The return window is closed. The mattress is yours. The chemicals are yours. Casper went public and then went bankrupt. Purple got acquired. Nectar got buried in class action lawsuits over advertising claims. The venture capital disruption turned out to be a repackaging of the same industrial product that the traditional manufacturers had been selling for 40 years, marketed to a generation of consumers who trusted authenticity branding more than they trusted chemistry labels. What the studies actually say. In 2019, researchers at the University of Texas published a study measuring VOC emissions from 33 different polyurethane foam and memory foam mattresses. They identified over 50 individual chemical compounds released into the air. The highest concentrations occurred in the first 3 days after unpacking. Measurable emissions continued throughout the entire study. A separate study published in the journal Environmental Science and Technology found that children sleeping on new foam mattresses were exposed to flame retardant compounds at levels that exceeded safety benchmarks established by the Environmental Protection Agency. The children in the study had measurably higher concentrations of these compounds in their urine than children sleeping on older mattresses or natural fiber alternatives. The endocrine disruption research is particularly disturbing. Multiple peer-reviewed studies have found that organophosphate flame retardants interfere with thyroid hormone signaling, which regulates metabolism, brain development, and immune function. The thyroid system is especially vulnerable in children under the age of 5 because their neurological development depends on precisely calibrated hormone levels. You are not putting your child on a mattress. You are putting your child's developing brain in contact with a surface that is actively releasing compounds that disrupt thyroid function every hour of every night. The industry response to this research follows a familiar playbook. They funded their own studies with different methodologies that produced different results. They challenged the peer review process. They pointed to the fact that no regulatory agency had issued a ban. That last argument is technically true and completely misleading. Regulatory agencies do not ban chemicals proactively. They ban them after the harm is proven beyond legal doubt, which typically takes decades and requires a body count that the industry can no longer explain away. By the time the regulatory process catches up to the science, an entire generation has already slept on the product. The safe list. The foam mattress industry wants you to believe you have only 2 choices. You can buy their product, or you can sleep on the floor. That is a lie they tell to protect a market. There are 3 categories of mattresses that refuse to participate in the chemical economy, and they have existed for decades. The industry simply does not want you to find them. First, natural latex, not synthetic latex, which is another petroleum product. Look for GOLS certified natural latex, the global organic latex standard. Natural latex comes from rubber trees. Producers tap the bark and collect the sap, a method used for over a century. Natural latex is elastic, antimicrobial, and resistant to dust mites and mold. It does not require chemical flame retardants because a layer of natural wool batting provides a naturally fire-resistant barrier that meets federal flammability standards without synthetic compounds. A GOLS certified latex mattress wrapped in GOTS certified organic wool and organic cotton is the chemical-free answer to everything we have described in this investigation. GOTS is the global organic textile standard. It is one of the few certifications in textiles with a genuine third-party audit process, which means a company cannot simply pay for the label. They must open their supply chain to inspection. If you see both GOLS and GOTS certification on a mattress, you are looking at a product verified from the raw material to the finished cover. Brands like Avocado, specifically their green mattress line, and Naturepedic, which has been building organic mattresses since 2003, still build to this standard. They are not cheap. An Avocado Green Queen mattress costs around $1,600. That number feels large until you calculate the cost of replacing a foam mattress every 7 years for the rest of your life. That ongoing replacement cycle is exactly what the industry is counting on you to accept. The third option is the legacy inner spring, not the hybrid foam and spring combination that big brands use to justify a premium price while still filling half the mattress with foam. Look for a genuine Bonnell coil or offset coil inner spring mattress with a cotton and wool comfort layer, built by a regional manufacturer that has not been acquired by a private equity firm. These companies exist. They are not on the front page of a lifestyle blog. They operate in smaller markets, selling to hotels and hospitals that require a product that will hold up to daily use for a decade. Find them. They are building the equivalent of the 1972 Maytag in a world full of Samsung smart appliances. The verdict. You spend a third of your life on your mattress. More time than you spend in your car, more time than you spend at the dinner table, more time than you spend in almost any other single location in your life. The corporations that manufacture foam mattresses know this. They have calculated that the bedroom is the last room in the house where most consumers do not read the label, because the label is sewn into a seam on the underside of a product that costs too much to return and too little to justify a lawyer. The same private equity logic that destroyed your washing machine and your RV and your work boots has been operating inside your bedroom for 40 years. They replaced durable materials with cheap petrochemicals. They lobbied for regulations that forced more chemicals onto the product. They used marketing language like Certipurus. That certification program was created and funded by the foam industry itself, and it helped create the illusion of independent oversight. Stop buying the foam. Stop trusting the certification that the industry wrote for itself. Buy the latex. Buy the wool. Buy the steel coil wrapped in cotton. Buy the material that has been sleeping next to human skin for 1,000 years without a chemical disclosure label, because it does not need one. The most dangerous product in your home right now is not under your sink. It is under your sheets. And it is time you did something about it.